On July the 26th, 2021, my father, age 73, who was a very prominent, well-known doctor in the UK, including being the honorary vice president of the British Medical Association, and had received honours from the Queen of England with an OBE, suffered an unexpected sudden cardiac arrest. I find it difficult to understand why my father, who was a fit and well man, I knew his cardiac history and his cardiac status, would suffer a cardiac arrest. Within the space of a few weeks, around October and November, 3 different sources of information was brought to my attention that made me realize that there was probably a significant problem with the COVID mRNA vaccine. The first, in October 2021, I remember I was giving lectures in Stockholm. I was contacted by a journalist with the Times newspaper who reported to me and said, "Dr. Malhotra, we have reports of an unexplained 25% increase in heart attacks in hospitals in Scotland." A few weeks later, a publication appeared in the journal Circulation, which is considered the highest impact cardiology journal in the United States, that revealed a potentially very strong link between the COVID mRNA vaccines and acceleration in heart attack risk. Very specifically, in several hundred people of middle age, there was a plausible mechanism by use of inflammatory markers in the blood that increased the baseline risk of those people having a heart attack in 5 years from 11% to 25% just within 2 months of having the COVID mRNA vaccines. Of course, this is one bit of data, but even if partially true, that is a huge increase in risk in a very short space of time. And for me now, made me think and link back to why my father may have suffered a cardiac arrest 6 months after having 2 doses of the vaccine. I remember thinking and speaking to a colleague that if this was true, then we were going to see an increase in cardiac arrests, heart attacks, and excess deaths in heavily vaccinated countries for the next few years. Then, within a few weeks, I was called up by a whistleblower at a very prestigious British institution. This cardiologist explained to me that a group of researchers in his department had accidentally found, through the use of very specialized imaging of the heart, that there was a signal of increased inflammation of the heart arteries, which was there in the vaccinated but not there in the unvaccinated. I needed to carry out my own critical analysis of the COVID mRNA vaccines. I spent 6 to 9 months critically appraising the data, including speaking to 2 Pfizer whistleblowers, 3 investigative medical journalists, and eminent scientists from the University of Oxford, Stanford, and Harvard. The most critical research that was published on this issue, which I think the whole court should acknowledge, was published in the journal Vaccine. That research was conducted by some of the world's top independent of drug industry influence academics. That research was able to reanalyze the original randomized control trials conducted by Pfizer and Moderna. The conclusions of that paper were really very disturbing. The original trials that led to the drug regulatory approval of these vaccines revealed that you were more likely to suffer serious harm from taking the vaccine, specifically hospitalization, life-changing event, or disability, than you were to be hospitalized with COVID.